Hello, hello. It is Kira, your host of the Motivational Monday, and I have another announcement about the video quality. I'm still experiencing the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Video quality, Wi-Fi quality, cell quality is all still very much up in the air at any given moment. So the quality of the video is not that great. The quality of the conversation is amazing, and it's something that I'm still just dealing with and navigating. So thank you all for your love and support. Go listen and watch the recording because I feel like it was a really impactful conversation and probably a conversation that we need to have with ourselves a little bit more. So there's the recording. I'm so excited for you to tune in and to listen to it. And then also register for today's session and come join me again for more Motivational Monday, because I feel like if we can make our Mondays better, then we can make our weeks better, and we can make our months better, and we can make our years better, and then overall our life just becomes better. So I'll talk to you soon. Go watch the recording and have a beautiful day. Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. It is Kira, your host, and I'm so excited for today's conversation. We're going to keep it short, we're going to keep it sweet, and we are going to keep it simple. So we'll be ending right at 11:45. And today we are diving into thoughts and actions that steal your happiness. Drop 111 in the chat if you have noticed that it is your own thoughts and your own actions that a lot of time are creating your stress or are taking away your happiness. I know I can relate to that. I was actually I was driving back from Charlotte the other day, and I was eating food and I was chilling, and I like had this moment of like ease and peace come over me, and I was like, "Oh gosh, Kira, you don't need to stress. It's not helping anything." And my friend yesterday was like, I'm such a worrier." And I was like, what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do about it? You can worry about it, but it might not change anything. And there's a difference to creating healthy solutions and looking at possibilities versus ruminating and worrying about things. So, we're going to be diving into a lot of ways that we can start to take accountability for ourselves and our own happiness and our own actions. Again, the Motivational Monday series is set up as a series where, yes, we're having short 15-minute conversations. However, the intention is for these conversations to ripple out into your world in a lot of really beautiful ways, where you get to start thinking differently about who you are, the way that you show up, the growth that you're looking for. And we do, just so all of you know, we have Life Guides, which is, this is the company that is hosting this event here with me as your host. And the company that you work for has purchased LifeGuides as a plan that you're able to have access to one-on-one, peer-to-peer support helping you navigate your life. Whether it's simple things like being able to take control of your happiness, or larger things like dealing with grief or divorce or huge life changes, you have people on your side who are here to support you. So drop 222 in the chat if you have used LifeGuides as a guide, and drop 333 in the chat if you have only exclusively done our events. And a lot of you have responded to our survey that we do at the end of this, which, thank you so much for responding because it's so helpful to us. A lot of you say that you don't know where to start with Life Guides. So I don't know necessarily what that means. There's so much room for interpretation. However, we're starting to understand that some of you don't know where to begin. So if you have any specifics, you can drop it in the chat and I'll take a minute at the end to just dive in and give you a little bit more clarity. But right now, it is Motivational Monday time. So we have a lot of people who have used their own guides. I use my own guides. I was looking at my calendar today and I'm like, my guide is back in exactly 21 days. I'm so excited. All I have to do is make it through 21 days, 7 of them, which will be spent in Puerto Rico on the beach. And I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm my guide back. It's such a game changer in so many ways. So we have a lot of ways that we are taking back our happiness and the ways that we are accountable for our own happiness. So I'm going to pull up this little picture here for you. And the way that it's going to work is there's 9 different things on the list itself that you're going to see. So there are 9 things, and you can do 111, 222, 333. For all of these things, I want to know which ones you experience and you know that you go through within yourself. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can start really looking at and navigating through what we go through on a day-to-day basis. We have the 9 things that you want to give up if you want to be happy, right? So the first thing is complaining. And again, drop 111, 222, 333 in the chat for the ones that you're like, actually, yeah, that's me. So I think that there's a big difference between complaining and actually looking for solutions. And you're just going to hear from me like what maybe the lower end of the spectrum is, which is what this list is showing, and then the higher end of the spectrum of what we can start to transform into. You'll have the recording of this session dropped into your email Monday morning of next week. So you can also listen to this and come back to it. So complaining as a whole is one of those things where we're not necessarily taking accountability for a situation in whatever way that it is, right? So complaining doesn't really lead to solutions. And for us to be happy, our brains genuinely are made for survival. Our brains are looking at the easiest way to accomplish a goal and the things that are the easiest habits. So for a lot of us, complaining might be a really easy habit because it's been around us forever. But at our core, complaining is not helping us. It's us like venting out our frustrations, and it's us getting to this place of just like being so overwhelmed and frustrated that we don't know what else we have to do. And sometimes I feel like it comes from a little bit of helplessness. However, there are ways to have conversations and to be resourced. So for me, I go through a lot of things in my life. I am a very emotionally up and down person in a really good way. I just feel really big things and then I come to clarity on them and then I move through peacefully. But the beginning stages of like when something new is coming into my world is a lot. And I could very easily complain, or I can sit there and be like, I'm really resourced. I've got mentors, I've got coaches, I've got literal guides from LifeGuides that are supporting me. So when I get on these calls with the people who are there to help me and support me, I am not complaining. I'm actually asking for feedback and I'm asking for support. And I'm like, this is what I'm going through, and it's really hard, and I don't know how to navigate it alone. And sometimes a lot of these things come from a feeling of helplessness too. Then there are the limiting beliefs, which are the thoughts in our minds that are telling us that we're not good enough, that we're not worth our value. The limiting beliefs are the things that put us in the positions that are not aligned with who we actually are. So in my own past with limiting beliefs, I've been in relationships with people who have treated me not so well because I didn't believe that I deserved to be treated well, and I was living in a fantasy instead of the reality of like, hey, this is the truth of the relationship and I've got to go. And in starting to have more unlimited beliefs about myself, where I know that I'm amazing, I have to teach myself every day that I'm amazing. I've got affirmations on the back of my phone, and you can see here every day, my multi-generational behavioral chiropractor gave me these affirmations. I choose to love the wonderful woman I was created to be. I see my value before I do anything. I'm doing my best, and my best is good enough for me. I recognize that it's who I am that makes me amazing. I am amazing before I do anything. Every day in my life, I am building on my greatness. I recognize that Creator did a great job on me. I am always enough. I am looking for examples of love in my life that expand on the love that I have for myself. I believe these statements to be true in every single cell of my being. I have to have it on my phone, the thing that I look at the most, so that I have the reminders of how amazing and how powerful I am. And then my world begins to match that. Then I get to have conversations that match that, and I get to walk through the world with more confidence and more trust in myself. I have another one that I'm about to share, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment. Brene Brown is one of my favorites. You will almost always hear me sharing and talking about Brene Brown. She has shifted the way that I communicate, the way that I look at vulnerability, the way that I have grown as a human, and it has been an absolute game changer for me in my life and the accountability that I get to take in my life. So blaming is not helpful in any way. And the way that blame actually shows up is Brene Brown teaches it this way. Blame has an inverse relationship with accountability. Accountability, by definition, is a vulnerable process. Blaming is one of the reasons we miss our opportunities for empathy. So, the absolute opposite of blame is accountability. And it is very vulnerable to take accountability and to hold yourself responsible for your actions or for your feelings or for your emotions. And a lot of the times it can be easier to blame, to say, this person did this to me, and that's why I'm acting like this. I'm angry because you woke me up this morning. And actually, the accountability is like, I'm frustrated because I haven't set a boundary with you and I haven't told you that that's not okay for me. Those are two very different conversations, and you'll get two very different results with the people that you're communicating with And you'll also feel very different in yourself. I feel empowered when I'm accountable and vulnerable. And there are times when I don't know how to be vulnerable, but even in the ability to express, like, I don't know what I'm feeling, and I don't know why that made me feel the way that it did. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to think about it and I'll get back to you, but I'm sorry I reacted that way, whatever. That is such a better and more fruitful conversation than the blame and pointing your fingers at other people when really the only thing that we'll ever have control over is ourselves. How we show up, how we react, the conversations that we have, the way that we treat people, the way we treat ourselves. We are the ones who are in control of that, no one else. So taking accountability for your life puts you in an empowered place and it removes the blame and it makes your relationships start to flourish. Is this helpful? Drop 444 in the chat if this is helpful for you. Are these really relating to you? I feel like so many of us go through these things on a daily basis. Sometimes, oh my gosh, sometimes I go through these things on a minute to minute basis. It is a wild world sometimes up in my mind. And it's great to have the resources and it's great to have the knowledge that I do because I've learned how to talk myself through things and I literally just talk to myself. I'm like, Kira, you're having a hard day. It's okay. You're okay to feel emotions. You're okay to feel the way that you're feeling. I spent most of my life denying my feelings. So now I have to spend a lot of my time reminding myself that my feelings are okay and that I'm safe. Yeah, Brene Brown is amazing. So negative self-talk, very similarly to a lot of this, that can really tie into limiting beliefs as well. But the negative self-talk of like, I'm not good enough, I'll never get that job. Why did I even try that? I can't believe I did that. And if you've got examples of negative self-talk that pop up in your head, drop them in the chat too, because you're not the only one thinking the things that you're thinking. And sometimes it makes it a lot easier to know that we're not alone and to know that these are things that all of us are going through. Dwelling on the past, oh, you guys, the past has already happened. The way that our past can be of benefit to us is seeing the ways that we showed up that we want to change, or seeing the ways that we learned, or seeing what we can do better in the future. But dwelling on the past and focusing on things that you did in the past, or things that embarrassed you, or ways that you showed up, or ways that you didn't advocate for yourself, and just ruminating on that over and over, you're not going to get anything great coming from that. And you're going to put yourself, I feel like depression, personally, this is how I experience it in myself. Depression comes from the past and like feeling like haven't had control of my past, and anxiety comes from the future and not knowing what's going to happen in the future. But if you bring yourself more into this present moment and be like, okay, that's what happened in the past, but this is what I can do now in the future is and like what I can do now for myself right now. This is what I learned. This is who I'm becoming. That is so empowering. Let's see. Resistance to change. Are any of you resistant to change? Drop 555 in the chat if you're resistant to change. I personally love change, but also I have like 7 Sagittarius placements and we just love new things and experience. But this is the one thing that I'll say is if you saw a baby not growing, and if they literally were not growing, they weren't hitting their benchmarks for eating, feeding, uh, gaining weight, gaining height, walking, talking, you would be concerned, right? Same thing happens for you. If you're not growing, you're stagnating, right? So think of yourself as a baby. Change is really hard in your mind. Your mind wants to go back to the easiest and simplest habit, and it wants to protect you and it wants to do the things that it knows for sure. That does not mean that it's what's good for you. I had to shut down an entire business that I ran for 4+ years, and I was very resistant to that, but it was bringing me so much stress and anxiety. And once I started putting the actions in place to shut it down, my life became so much easier, and I was so resistant to the change. Love change, just not when it's out of my control. Preach. The need to impress others, the need to always be right, and the need for others' approval. These three can fall in very similar categories. With that, in particular, one thing that I'll say is when you start seeking and searching for your internal validation instead of external validation, your life will become so much more fulfilling. You will become who you are. Drop 777 in the chat if you don't know who you are. There are a lot of people who genuinely don't, and that's okay. And then there are a lot of us who do know exactly who we are, and you can drop 888 in the chat. I know exactly who I am. And the only way that I know exactly who I am is because I've let go of my need to impress others. I have let go of my need to always be right, and I've let go of my need for other people's approval. And that takes work. It has taken constant, every day, multiple times a day, work in reminding myself that it's not what other people value that are my values. And the more that I got clear on my values and who I am and what I'm growing into, the more that I was able to not need to impress others. I need to impress myself. I need to feel good going to sleep with myself every single night. I don't need to be right. There's a really beautiful book. It's called How to Give a Good Apology by Molly House. And it's all about how like people think that they have to be right and that stops them from healing their relationships. And for me, my relationships are so much more important than my need to be right. And I had to work on that. And then the need for others' approval. What if you look at I'm wearing cheetah pants and an octopus shirt and my little bright socks. I wanted to be like a little weird today, and I could because I know who I am. But if I didn't, I would have been like, oh, that's a little bit of a weird outfit. But now I'm like, I love a little bit of a weird outfit. And it's like little things like that where you get to be exactly you. And exactly, Alexandra, we are forever changing. And when you know your values and what drives you in your life, you allow yourself to be this ever-changing, evolving creature who gets to navigate life newly every single day. And you get to make choices that are heart-centered from who you are instead of mind-centered of like the thoughts and projections that people have placed on you. Yeah, growing is wonderful, but understanding and loving yourself where you are is beautiful as well. I feel like we grow more from understanding and loving ourselves where we are. So that's basically it for our Motivational Monday. We went 2 minutes over. This is a 15 to 20-minute conversation. I give myself that buffer because I love talking to you guys. So I'm going to drop a few links in the chat. And then if you have any questions specifically about life guides or Motivational Monday, you can drop them in the chat right now, and I'm happy to take a moment or two to answer them. And I am going to be in Puerto Rico, so you might see me from Puerto Rico next Monday. I'm not sure on my return flight yet, but you might see me at the beautiful beach from the island. Or you might see me from right here, right now. Who knows? So many options. So that's our link tree for life guides. That's where you can press the link to schedule a call with your guide. That's where you can register for all of our events. That is where you can get access to our financial well-being series, everything. So all of that is there for you. Thank you so much for being here. It has been a pleasure doing this Motivational Monday with you. And the one thing that I will remind you of again is that we have Motivational Monday every week right at this time. The recording is sent out next Monday. So in your email inbox right now, if you missed last week, you do have last week's recording in your inbox and you can go and watch it. We talked about healthy financial habits and how a guide can help you through that as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful Monday. We will talk to you next week and keep thinking about the ways that you can build healthier habits for yourself. And I'm excited to continue to watch all of your growth. Bye, everyone.